So today's video, I'm going to be walking you through my favorite strategy, or one of my favorite strategies for increasing book sales on Amazon. So as per usual, there's going to be no theory here. We're going to show the results. We're going to show the criteria. And then of course, we're going to do a live example. So like I said, we're going to talk about the strategy. We're going to give you the outline for this and share the results. We'll take a look at the criteria needed to make this work. We have to do this in a very specific way for very specific books. Then we're going to talk about why sales that don't make money are still fantastic for your publishing business. Then we're going to do a live example of how the strategy works. And then we're going to take a look at why this works amazingly well during Q4, where I'm going to share some more results with you. So before we get into the specifics, let's take a look at what this strategy entails. So in a nutshell, what we're going to be doing is scaling our best-selling books with specific advertising campaigns. So what we're going to be doing is targeting weaker products in our niche. So what I mean here is that we're going to identify weakness in our competitors' listings, and then we're going to run advertising campaigns against them. But we need to do this in a very specific scenario to make this work at its absolute best, because you can do this for any books and you might see success, but we're all about hedging our bets here, giving ourselves the best chance possible of making sales. So we have to run by a certain criteria here. So the goal, we know the strategy. Now we know the goal here, and we're going to go into the specifics in just a second. Then I'll give you a live example of how this works and how you can do the same as well. So the goal is to break even with your sales. So breaking even, we want sales from our advertising campaigns that don't lose you money. I sometimes refer to this as free sales. So what we want to happen here when we get a winning book, and I'll show you the criteria that I have for that in just a second, we want to make the absolute most out of these books, because no matter what anybody says, there's going to be a failure percentage to the amount of books that you're going to make sell. However, when you do come across these winning books, which you should be doing if you're doing things right, maybe 1 in 5 books, 1 in 10 books, some people 1 in 20 books if you're doing low content books, we want to make the absolute most of this so that we can keep running these books, making money for them for a very, very long time. So the benefits of this is that you can potentially make more organic sales. There would be an argument that the more sales you get, whether it's from advertising or organically, the more this is going to contribute to your rankings on Amazon and therefore more organic sales. So this is probably more relevant for books that are newer as opposed to books that are slightly older. So one of the main benefits here, and this is like the secret sauce for my successful books and why they do so well, is that you can keep above the competitors in your niche. So once you have a fantastic product, people are going to come along, they're going to copy it. YouTubers are going to make videos about these niches. So you need to find a way to make sure that you can stay above the competition, stay relevant, keep getting reviews, keep getting sales, whilst everyone else is getting kicked off the front pages of Amazon. So there's a load of benefits to this. Ultimately, you're just going to be getting more sales to your book, which means that you're going to be getting more visibility to your brand. So you will run into this scenario where if you're running more advertising campaigns to one book, people are going to go back through your A+ content or through your pen name and buy other books from you. And of course, you have the possibility to collect more emails from doing this as well. Now this is a strategy. The email things is a different strategy for a different day. We're not going to talk about it here, but it's super powerful stuff. So I test a lot of strategies, whether it's from other YouTubers, whether it's just from my own brain. No matter where it is, I need to test things myself to see how they actually work for specifically lower priced books. So in my case, I primarily publish coloring books between $6.99 and $8.99. So these strategies, they have to work for lower priced books. That's all I'm interested in. I'm not interested in spending $1.50 cost per click, spending thousands every single month with every single book. No, we've got to make sure we run advertising campaigns and strategies for low priced books in a way that makes sense. Let's go into my account here. So what you can see that I was doing, I was targeting one of Coco Wyo's books. Now I set this campaign up back in March, and it wasn't until earlier on in this month in November did I decide to actually push this strategy slightly harder. So what we can see is that we've had 3 sales, 0 sales, 1 sale, 2 sales, blah, 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 blah. And then only this month, when I decided to let this campaign actually start spending more money, did we start seeing the orders coming in. So we're at 26 orders, 26,000 impressions. It's a ton of visibility. We're getting free sales to this because, as we can see, the ACOS is near the break even point. And this is pretty much just free sales from setting up one of these simple campaigns. So we're going to talk about the criteria in a second because there's a few ways that you can do this. Now, what I was doing in this case is I found one Coco Wire book that was rated in the same niche as mine for this book. It was rated at 4.6 stars, whereas my book in the similar niche is rated 4.7. Okay, so we've identified that there was a slight weakness in Coco Wire's listing. I mean, 4.6 is still fantastic, but we have something better to offer if we have a 4.7, which is what I do in this niche here. Okay, as you can see, the results go without saying. So this is just one of the strategies that I use for these winning books, and we'll talk about the winning criteria in just a second. I run about 3 or 4 other campaigns to this book with other strategies as well. So these are all for these winning books. But if you're interested in getting to know exactly what I'm doing, seeing the exact books that I make a full-time income from, you can check out chrisraydog.com and see if you're interested in joining the Raydog membership. So recently in the live calls, the live group calls that I do every single Friday as part of the membership, I showed off all of these strategies. I show off all the latest books that I'm releasing. Everything that I do gets revealed inside the membership. And like I said, I showcase everything that I'm doing. There's nothing hidden. Going into 2025, we have very exciting stuff that we're going to be working on, that we're going to be sharing inside of the membership as well. And inside the membership, if you want to check this out, it comes with all the day one course content, loads of different courses on advertising strategies, keywords, anything, beginners, case studies, pretty much everything you could ever need is inside of the courses if you like that type of outline to work with. And of course, part of the membership is the Discord community where you can get feedback on everything that you're doing. We have the weekly calls, which are recorded every single Friday. There's a ton here, lots of direct feedback from me and other people inside the membership as well. If you want to check that out, it's chrisraydog.com. That's just one of the campaign types that I've been running for this book. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, like, what is the criteria that I need to make this work? Because if you try and do this for every single book, you're probably just going to end up losing money. So there has to be a proven aspect to your book in order to make this work. It's what I found, because I've tried this on books where they haven't been doing well and the results have been bad, as opposed to the books that have been doing well as per this criteria, and it works very, very well. So here's the main part of the video. Your book should have over 40% organic sales. Now, this number is to be taken with a pinch of salt. It could be 35, it could be 60, could be 70, 100%. Ideally, it would be 100%. But what I found is that books that only get around 10, 20% organic sales is that they don't tend to take off. They don't tend to be converting that well with customers on Amazon. So 40% is the number that I'm just going to go with here. Also, you want to make sure, and the reason for this, getting a low cost per click from existing ads, is because you will likely to continue to get a low cost per click since you're going to be targeting products. Okay, so product targeting campaigns tend to have a much lower cost per click than keyword specific campaigns. Okay, so by low cost per click, I like to think around lower than 15 cents. And what I also like to see are the existing ads that you might have running converting at better than 1 in 10. So this is again with a pinch of salt, because what I found for bold and easy coloring books is that they might be at 1 in 20. If you're doing manual campaigns, they might be at 1 in 5. But the main factor that we want to go with here is that you have a decent amount of organic sales and a low cost per click. And the thing is, just to explain the low cost per click thing very briefly, not all my campaigns get low cost per clicks. I turn many campaigns off because I think for selling low price books, you have to work with a low cost per click to make them run for a long time. And once you get a low cost per click, you can run those campaigns for a very long time, even if the conversions aren't that good. And you can set up more campaign types as well. So your competitor's book that you're considering taking all that lovely traffic from should have a low BSR. A low BSR is going to indicate that book has got a lot of sales going to it. So we're talking about books that have a BSR that's lower than, let's say, 30,000 on the .com store. They should, of course, be in a similar niche to yours. I'm going to give you a live example with one of my books in just a second. And here's the thing, as per what I did, I looked for books that had a lower review count than mine. So if you remember, the Coco Wire book had 4.6, mine had 4.7. It makes sense to advertise a better rated product against one that has lower reviews. So if you can't find books that have a lower star rating than yours, you can try looking for books and targeting the ones that have a less appealing book cover. Now, book covers are to some extent subjective. However, people's understanding of what makes for a good book cover is what will probably make this not viable for most people. One of the other ways you can do this, one of the better ways to do this, is by targeting books that are more expensive than yours. And I did this before with another book. My book was priced at $7.97, I think it was, and the competitor's book was priced at $8.99, I think it was. Then I advertised my book against theirs in a similar niche. People are drawn to cheaper products. Obviously, I think that's been well and truly proven, and that got me a load of sales to that book as well. So to make this clearer for people, what I'm going to do now is do a live example from one of my case study books here, which is a bold and easy swear word coloring book. So we come over to Amazon, we search for a bold and easy swear word coloring book for adults. We're ranked on the first page still. I will preface this live example by saying, this book isn't doing unbelievably well. This is just the nature. It's the type of thing people won't tell you, is that not every book is going to be a success, but you have to manage the books that aren't that successful. So in this case, this book actually makes 100% organic sales because I decided to turn all of the advertising campaigns off. So we have that going for us. And I think we have a somewhat standout book cover to work with. And we have a slightly higher priced, it was slightly higher priced at $9.99, but I've dropped it to $7.99. So let's go ahead and look for other swear word coloring books that we think that our book can have a little bit more appeal than. Okay, so we're just going to go onto Amazon, start searching for books that are in your niche. This one here is way too good in my opinion. We've got to be real. I can't create a world-class book every single time. That's just the way that things go. But this one I think is just much better than mine. And I don't think just through virtue of a lower price that I could compete against this one anyway, because this book is just so good in my opinion. Okay, so just to give an example here for the sake of time, let's assume that this book is making decent sales. Now it would be a prime example of a good book that we can run hours against. The book here looks like it's been made by AI. Maybe that's just a me thing, being able to spot this, but I don't think the cover is particularly good versus a hand-drawn cover. I could be wrong. Some people might prefer this. But the price is at $9.99. The reviews are only on a 3. Again, let's assume that this book was making good sales. It would be perfect because every criteria in this case is adding up. Now, does the criteria have to add up every single time? Could you ultimately just compete against books that have a lesser book cover or a lower price? Yes, you could do that as well. The main thing here is that your book is the one that is better in some way. But now during Q4, as things, it feels a little bit late for Q4 this year. Things haven't really started taking off until the last sort of few days here. But doing this during Q4 is a great way, from my experience, is a great way to start topping up your sales and making sure that you are ahead of your competitors, because you want to make sure that during the Q4 traffic that your book is the one that people can see. So my Q4, it's been a little bit mixed, as I've just said, but things are starting to pick up here. This is bizarre to have 600 orders and only $120 of royalties. If you're wondering about this, it's because it's from expanded distribution sales for a book that hasn't had a price update. That's why that number is so high versus this. But regardless, these strategies are working very well during Q4, provided that you have room to make this work for you. So, for example, what I mean here is that with the ACOS, in this campaign that I showed earlier at 22%. Let's say that the break even is 25%. It means that we have room for this to work with. So that the two things that I work with here are that one, the book is proven as per the criteria that we went through earlier, and two, that there's room with the existing ACOS. So if the ACOS was actually slightly lower than this, I like to see it around 17 or 18%, or as low as possible, ideally, before we start running these strategies. And then when we get toward our sort of break even point, that's when I sort of slow down and I don't continue with the bidding from there. So that's pretty much it for this video. We're right in the middle of Q4. We can expect the next few weeks. And just a warning here for people that are trying new advertising strategies is that you need to be very careful. Keep an eye on your advertising account pretty much every single day, because what you're going to find is that older campaigns that didn't get you clicks before will start getting clicks. I have campaigns from like 1 to 2 years ago that started getting clicks today. We're at that stage now where you're going to get a lot of visibility, and you need to be careful if you are going to run these strategies. Okay, so one of the main things here is that you need to understand, you need to get to a point where your books are good enough to run these type of strategies to make the most out of these books, which is why I set up the Raydog membership the way that I have set it up, to give people the best chance possible of creating great books. So as part of the Raydog membership, we have those live group calls every single Friday. We have also an awesome, very helpful Discord community as well, where you can come into the seller forum and you can get feedback on your book covers, your interiors. If you have samples from your designer that you want feedback on, you can get feedback on that. You can get feedback on your advertising campaigns. You can get feedback on everything until you're confident that you're in a position to start publishing great books, and then moving on to these slightly more advanced strategies. And of course, you can get my feedback on what you're doing as well. And as you can see from the seller forum part of the Discord, people are getting a ton of feedback on everything that they're doing. And it makes an absolutely massive difference to people's chances of seeing success with publishing. So if you want to check this out, it's chrisraydog.com. Like I said, it comes with all the course content you could ever need. The live calls, the Discord group, the seller forum, the feedback, everything you could need is inside the membership. But that is it for this video. Hopefully you've liked the advertising strategy. Feel free to check out the Raydog membership at chrisraydog.com, and I'll see you in another video very soon.